Well, our guest here on the Constraint Commander Radio Show is Alisa Jordheim, and you are a member of the Reisman Institute, and I believe Judith Reisman, Dr. Reisman, she was our first guest, and this has been an awesome convention here, day 2 or 3, actually, here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And we got to ask you about defunding Kinsey, though.
Yes.
That's our home state,
Yeah,
and
that's
we
big.
birthed, the genie came out of the bottle.
Yeah, thanks for that.
How do we go about doing that? How soon should we do that? How do we go about it?
Oh, okay, that's a big question, JD, but an important one. Well, I would say it is a 3-prong approach, right? Investigate, defund, stop.
Yes.
So when you say, how do we defund, I would say to you, you can't just step in and yell defund, defund. You start with the investigation, which means what are the archives, what is the information, and then you present that to stripping the money away.
Work with our legislators. Ultimately.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the scientific community, I would say, because it was bad science that initiated this, I would say even really looking at the investigation of not just your legislators, but those who are influential and who have a science background relative.
I think as you peel the onion on Kinsey, I mean, there's the Steele document and FISA warrant. We're all talking about that in America right now. But, I mean, there's no corroboration. I mean, we asked Dr. Reisman, she said that's zero. The tables, the surveys, the charts, nothing was verified on this. And so this was maybe fake news, fake science. He invented that, maybe here in America. Don't tell CNN, but this is amazing.
We won't.
This is amazing, but look at how the stepchild of Kinsey and all the institutes and Rutgers and the University of Pennsylvania out in San Francisco, the Sex Institute, and the journals, all this stuff, and what we have today. And we're kind of wrapping up, towards the end of our convention. But I mean, Jeffrey Epstein, all this stuff. The Woodstock generation, our 50th anniversary. We can all trace that back really to Kinsey. And so go ahead and comment, because this has been a very illuminating moment here in Indianapolis. There's a lot of states represented. I mean, you got the East Coast, the West Coast, Texas, Alabama, all around. And this is a movement that's gaining all kinds of steam, and maybe just in time. Please comment.
I wouldn't even say just in time. I'd say it's about time.
Yeah.
I think it's a long time overdue.
Long time overdue.
That's my word is.
But I would say for such a time as this.
Yes.
Because we know Dr. Reisman, we know there have been Indiana legislators who've really plowed this ground for 25 years. It would have been 25 years since she was on the steps. She probably told you that, and then came back. It's historic the other day that we're back at the Institute for such a time. But JD, let me ask you, you had a number of folks on your show, and they were talking about this. My area of expertise is child sex trafficking.
Yes.
And so would you like me to share a little bit as we're talking about defunding as it relates to this subject, or do we just want to talk about Kinsey Institute? I'm happy to.
You are free. You have great license. And this is a hot topic. President Trump talks about it. He says, hey, get the wall built, and we can cut down on not only fentanyl, but this trafficking. So, please take and go.
I would say so. I would say for those of us who recognize and know the history about Kinsey, which means that our children are very vulnerable with the science, the sex ed that's being taught in schools, all of these things that were birthed out of Kinsey. We also have to look at kind of a backdoor, which is the history, and then coming to what's happening today. What has Kinsey brought about? The vulnerability of our children, how are they being exploited? And we know that everyone in this hour, about the past 3 years, has been saying, what? Child sex trafficking? What is going on in our nation and in the world? And so let's look at this subject as it relates to Kinsey and what he birthed and how it affects these kids. Is that we know that Kinsey was a proponent isn't even the right word. He was a promoter of pornography, incest, child sexual abuse. He practiced it. He was the man who said not only are children sexual from birth, but incest is good for them. He didn't use that term, but what he said is it is helpful for a child to have relationship with adults, and loving sexual relationship with a parent should cause no harm. It is the culture that is up in arms about it. It is not the child. That's what he said. He said it is because parents are uptight about it, that's what's harming the children psychologically, but physically they are not harmed by this. So when we look at this and we say this was who Kinsey was, and what he was promoting was his own lifestyle to become a little bit of social engineering is what he was doing.
Oh, my.
He was saying, he didn't say it out loud, but what he was doing was, this is my lifestyle, and I want this to be the norm in this nation. So when he birthed these things, what he did was he opened the door for pornography. He opened the door for pedophilia, which would be lowering the age of consent to sex. And then sexual education in schools. That was one of the primary things he was looking for. Not only do we want, this was his thinking, not only do we want our children to be available for sex, and it's good for them, so let's promote it, but we want them to be taught that readily. They must be indoctrinated into this. So with those three things, pedophilia, pornography, and sex ed in schools, comprehensive sex ed in schools, what we see is our children have become so hypersexualized, that what's happening is many of them are already seeing pornography. Many of them, pedophilia is being normalized in the pornography they're seeing. And there is such a sexualized culture now, is that a lot of these kids, when we're talking about sex trafficking of America's children, what's happening is they're already so sexualized that when they even start to have conversations with each other about, hey, let's make a couple bucks on the side with this, often these kids are saying, all right, let's do this. And hear me, I work with lots of kids who have had this, and my heart breaks every time. And what I know is this is dangerous, this is harmful, this is horrific, but you also have to recognize for a lot of them, it's not that big a deal. In our culture, it isn't. What they don't recognize, they have been completely desensitized, as well as we recognize that the pornography issue is a big part, and we'll maybe talk about that a little later.
Now, even in the public schools, because a lot of times we have opportunity to go in and speak, and I speak on sex trafficking, even to high school age, and that, do you think even the simple thing that they're doing with sexting is creating that kind of mindset, opening up doors for vulnerability for them to become prime targets, and they don't even know, or they don't even care?
Absolutely, and you hit two important things. There are populations that don't know that this is happening in their vulnerability with online social media and or sexting or sextortion, meaning they're sexting, somebody gets your picture and then says, if you don't comply with what I'm asking you to do, come over and have sex with me. I'm going to actually publicize your pictures. I have seen numerous cases in this city where I live where we're going to court because traffickers are literally sextorting children. And then secondly, Christina, you brought up a good point. A lot of times, simply because of their age, they don't even understand, they often just don't care. They don't recognize the longevity of what these pictures being out there. You know, at 16, at even 21, when we say, this is evergreen, that's a term in media, evergreen means timeless, will be there forever. The concept of you can't get that back eludes them. So some of these conversations, we have to find ways to actually dialogue in a way that they can say, I get it.
So it's a different type of language and communication that we have to bring forth and present to them so that they will begin to get the light bulbs going on in their heads.
There you go. It really does not seem to be effective if we have the moral, ethical, even religious conversation, because they're not in the same place. So we have to recognize a lot of times it has to be a harm piece that they will present it in a way they can understand.
So we really have to be mama bears and daddy bears to rise to the occasion and praying to God for, Lord, not just mercy, but God, please open up the eyes of our kids.
And wisdom, how to share the message in a way they can receive it.
Right, that's huge.
Elise, we're coming up on a hard commercial break. Can you stay with us for the next segment?
I would be happy to, delighted.
Well, with Alisa Jordheim with the Concerted Commandos radio show.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
We're back with Alisa Jordheim with the Conservative Commander Radio Show, and we're here finishing up the Children's Health Coalition. Protect them. Protect the Children's Health Coalition. So, welcome back to Conservative Commander Radio Show.
Thank you.
Let's talk about trafficking of children and how coming across the border, that the cartels are initiating that. And I mean, you got AOC claiming that they're down there in cells and cages and drinking toilet water and that kind of thing. But no, it's an industry. It's an industry that's plagued our nation, and you're an expert on this.
Right. Well, I'd say, JD, we have two components of this.
Okay.
We absolutely have the cartels that are bringing these kids in. So we have, this book is made in the USA, Sex Trafficking of America's Children. So that's children trafficked within the United States, within the borders of the United States.
Correct.
And then, and there are cartels within the US that are trafficking our kids. Then we also have the international component of that. So what you're talking about is maybe Central America, South America, Mexico, Asia, all of these pieces where our children are being either taken from the United States and brought over, or those children are being brought into our nation. So what's your thought on that? Would you like particularly one of those, or a little on both?
How about all? Because
You got it.
all of the above, made in the USA.
Okay.
And that's where our children do come from, the USA.
Yep.
But it's horrific.
Yeah, it is.
We have the opioid crisis, and we have this sex trafficking crisis, and they're terrible.
Well, and I would say,
I would say even when you deal with even in the international aspect, doesn't that also affect what's going on even in the cities in the United States with the trafficking and what's taking place?
when we deal with the international aspect, yes, I would say, Christina, the local issue affects that more. The last statistic I saw was 17,000 children being trafficked internationally.
Wow.
And statistics about what's happening nationally is anywhere from 100,000 to 300,000.
On an annual basis?
On an annual basis. Now, but let's say that's a little bit of a disparity, 100 to 3. So what that tells us is the data is still out there being collected. But what we do know is there are many more children that live in the United States, that are staying in the United States, that are being sex trafficked, than those being brought across borders.
Now,
it's a homegrown issue.
That's amazing. Now,
Larger.
in this book, what promoted you to go ahead and write this book? This book is compelling. This book is not just an ABC documentary. You know, this is not that you have to go into a classroom and get taught. This is something that is reaching into the hearts and gripping the reality and the horror, but also hope in this. Talk about this.
Well, thank you for saying there's hope in this, because that is the key.
Yes.
That is the key. There is always hope.
Yeah.
Is that, and we'll get back to that cartel issue. We'll be sure we do that, JD.
Yes.
Is that I wrote this book literally as a mandate from the Lord. I am not a gifted writer. And I said, to be honest, I got to tell you, Lord, we don't need one more book on sex trafficking. I've read them all, and what would I write that's different? And I literally got a download. I got a download of the synopsis of the book, the titles and the outlines, and I said, well, all right, I guess I better get in the saddle and make this happen. So what I asked as I was praying about it was, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
How would the purpose of this book be unique, and why would I write it? It is 5 true stories of adults who were trafficked as children.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to interview children. There's a trauma component of that. You always want to honor a survivor. You always want to encourage them because they're overcomers.
Yeah.
And so what these are 5 unique ways that our children are trafficked.
Wow.
It is familial trafficking, a family member trafficking. It is the boyfriend syndrome. Yeah. It is one that was actually kidnapped, which is the smallest component of how these kids are taken. Yeah, which is a misnomer. We don't recognize this. Okay. It is a boy who is working the streets, which
Yeah.
is usually what it looks like with young men.
Right.
And then it is a girl who was recruited by a friend.
Wow.
And so that was the key to this book, was that showing there are different dynamics of ways the kids are trafficked and opening the eyes to that. And to go back to that cartel that which you were talking about, is many of the girls I have worked with have actually been a part of cartel. And I live in the state of Texas, the majority of girls were MS-13. And MS Marasucha Salvatore, and an El Salvadorian gang that actually was birthed in Los Angeles.
Right.
The magnitude of what these kids face by being a part of these trafficking syndicates or gangs is horrific. It's all horrific. But they're sexted in, which means they're initiated into the gang by being gang raped. Then they're sent out to apartments to have sex, knock on doors, 15 minutes, $30. You know, with big thugs standing behind them, door to door in apartment buildings. Bestiality, I mean, you know, you name it. As well as
Which
even...
Kinsey condoned that.
Oh, yes, he would have.
Yeah, he said
this
children
would
with sex
not
with
have been
animals.
harmful to them.
No.
This would have just been a different experience sexually.
Right.
So gangs are very much involved. Russian mafias involved, you know, locally and internationally.
Absolutely.
All of it. Because what the FBI is saying now is sex trafficking of children is actually, gangs are moving toward that more than they are guns and drugs, because you can keep a kid for a long time and move them. You move a gun and a drug once. Most people have heard with the kids. Can be used long term.
Now, even with these cartels, even locally in our cities, or even in the state, whatever, in your state or in our state, do you believe that the cartels are increasing in their activity of this, or do you think there's being a little bit of a pushback?
I think they're absolutely increasing in it. They're recognizing that this has to almost be in their business plan.
Yeah.
It has to be a component of their income.
Wow.
Because this is a huge market. Now pornography is moving. What we recognize with the addictive properties of pornography is that people have to move to harder and different type forms of pornography. Child pornography is the most vile kind of last bastion of the place. If you're going to go somewhere and you get on pornography, the first place you don't say is, I'm going to go to child porn, unless you're a pedophile. But many people are getting to that point. And that's why I think that many people now are seeking children for sex. And these cartels and these gangs are recognizing there's a larger population that are actually willing to purchase kids for sex that wouldn't have perhaps 20 years ago.
Wow.
You're from Texas, and recently we talked to Congressman Jody Heiss, friend of the Conservative Command Radio Show from Georgia. He's been in 5 of the 9 districts down there, Laredo district, and he was told those cartels know every person, they know every inch of our border, and when they get through, there's tremendous communication, and it's an incredible network.
Yes, it is.
And I think the only way you're going to break it is the wall, and they simply will not come. Talk about abstinence, you're not coming except legally. And then there wouldn't be any reason for them to want to bring kids because they can't bring them in to begin with. Talk more about this, because this is horrific. I think the American people don't realize to what extent this is happening at the border. And you talk about MS-13. But we got to get to hope, and there's just a few minutes left.
We have to
much
get.
to talk about.
Where's hope in this, guys? Come on.
Bring it up. We've got a couple minutes.
All right, where is hope?
Let's talk about hope a little.
All right, well, there is...
It's supposed to be a big subject.
There is always hope. First off, we know that we're people of faith, and tell you could not do this work without it. Because there is hope and a future for these kids. What I'm seeing is that there is a public outrage. There's hope in that. Because parents are now saying, not only are we caring and protecting our own children, but we're now saying, are you kidding me? You're talking about an 8-year-old who's being trafficked and sold out? That is not going to happen. What's happening in our communities? What I will also say about the hope piece is that this millennial generation, this issue incenses them. And wherever I go, they'll say, what can I do to help? So we have to have wisdom about saying, yes, you have a part in this. Let's do that wisely. Let's find it. So the hope is that everybody, Democrats, Republicans, everybody is saying, this isn't okay.
How do they get your book? Because we have just a minute to go.
Great. Amazon, and I just finished an audiobook copy that will be on Kindle and Amazon and all these pieces, and it has a new chapter in it on pornography, social media, and sextortion. So get it on audiobook.
We have 30 seconds left. Closing thoughts.
Thank you for being willing to talk about this subject. I think sometimes we're a little fearful because it's
Yes.
dark, but it has to be mentioned. So well done, you.
It is, as long as we come to the light, that's
There
what
you
matters.
go.
And
That's
what
right. Get
we
this
are
darkness
yes.
into the light, and then
Yeah.
we can.
Truth will set people free. And thank you so much
Yes.
for coming on the Strict Mandatory Show, Alicia. God bless.
And you. Thank
Thanks.
you.